So I'm going to spend the next 7 days working on my giant Imperial base on Kashyyyk from Jedi Fallen Order. And usually I manage to spend around 3 to 4 hours building Kashyyyk a week, but this week is going to be different. I'm scrapping everything else and I'm going to completely spend all my Lego time building Kashyyyk. So yeah, I'm quite excited for this challenge. I've been buying a ton of stuff. We've got lots of progress we can make on the mock. So with that being said, let's get started. So in order to get some progress done, firstly we have to open this package right here. So as always, we've ordered a ton of pieces this week for Kashyyyk. As always, the three main colours that are prevalent are dark bluish grey, reddish brown and the dark green. Those are basically three necessities that I need every week for Kashyyyk. But the most important piece isn't in any of these bags, it's in this one right here. Now this is 60 of these inverted slopes. We also got some reddish brown ones as well. These are for the spider cave. I can always do with more dark bluish grey plates. There's also these cool rail pieces which can be useful as well. This bag seems to be just reddish brown tile, but that's going to be great for terrain work. We have a load of Technic bricks in here. These two bags are more stuff for different terrain work as well. Now I got a load of these panel pieces. I'm pretty sure I cleaned this store out pretty much of most things. They had some great deals. I mainly was hunting for these pieces right here, but when I saw the other stuff in the store, had to pick it up, and that included a Minecraft polar bear, a couple of pink flags for the new CMF knights, more plates as well as this officer right here. Yeah, gonna buy these just to bolster up that Imperial army. And in here there's a couple of heads and helmets and stuff. And the final thing is just these big bushes right here. I can always do with more of these. With that being said, we've got some great pieces here, so let's get started on some progress. So now we've got all those inverted pieces, we can start to work on this top section here and go ahead and branch this across with all the plates and everything like I did in the last episode. So let's get started. Okay, so that was all we managed to get done on day 1. I didn't have time to build on day 2, so it's now day 3 and we're going to get some progress done. I'm going to start on the landing pad, I think, so this should be a pretty fun section of the build. So this is the section I'm going to be putting the landing pad in. I kind of mentioned it in last week's episode and you guys seem to really like the idea of putting a landing pad here with potentially the Imperial shuttle there or something like that. Either the two options that I have are to do terrain underneath and then raise it up so it's like hovering off the floor, or have it built into the ground. So I need to work out which one I want to do, maybe trial a few things and then we'll get started on that. But the first thing we can do to sort of get ready for that is to do this entire back wall, which is something I actually have already done, but I had to rip it apart because I needed the brown pieces for something else. But yeah, we can put that back in place now and get that all set in stone. So let's try and grab this with one hand and bring it over to the build table and we'll get building. So I began by layering up the reddish brown bricks, making sure that all overlap so it's nice and strong. Other than that, this is a pretty standard practice right here. So I went through, did this whole section right here, did the full corner and went all the way along until I hit the spider's lair. I started to build up a little bit of the spider's lair later on so I could get everything nice and sturdy, but until then I just finished off that wall. Now turning our viewpoint from above, we can see I'm just sort of filling in this section, raising everything up and making sure I have as much space as possible to fit in that landing pad. So basically once I've got it all flat, I decided to even extend it further towards the camera right here so I could have even more space for the section where I'm going to have the landing platform. As I mentioned, I had to raise up the section of wall inside of the spider's den. That's just so I can make this flat section as big as possible. So with that being done, you can see pretty much the terrain is all on the similar levels now. Obviously there's one step up just here and then there's one other step up here which was going to be here, but I think I'm going to sort of just curl it off here. I'm not going to have it go all the way across the mock to make room for the landing pad. I might just do like kind of a corner. I might do the full thing. I might raise it up. I still haven't worked that out yet, so I'm going to go ahead, do some planning of where I need to put the dark green slopes, and I haven't got too much time left today, so I'm going to try and get everything planned out where I need everything to go with regards to the steps up of different terrain, and then I think I'll plan out how big the landing platform can be, work out whether that's going to fit what I want to do, and then I think we'll get started on the landing pad in the next couple of days. So basically what I'm starting with from this angle here is I'm going to go around the top where the spider's nest is to be. Obviously it has to be a certain height to go across this entire gap, so I'll start by laying out this. Basically I'm just doing a very rough design in dark green and in reddish brown just to sort of get an idea for where each layer is going to be and how the terrain is going to step up and undulate as we get further up the hill. I also went in and added a few patches of rocks where we're basically going to go up 2 levels at once just to sort of have a bit more difference and a bit more variety. I think this is going to turn out really nicely. So that's where we're at after day 3. I'll come back at day 4 and hopefully get some more progress done tomorrow. I'm planning on doing some more terrain work because this is really easy. Once I've got the guidelines in, I can really start to work on that. So yeah, with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow. And it's day 4, it's time to start working again on that terrain. I'm excited to get started. I'm going to grab this base plate, move over to the build table and probably get some good stuff lined up on TV to keep me entertained whilst I do this terrain. So I've got to say, doing this sort of terrain work is one of my favourite things to do. It's just really fun and I really enjoy sort of mixing those greens and browns in a completely random fashion. So just sit back and relax and enjoy this super satisfying time lapse of me doing a big section of this terrain work. Damn, I always underestimate how long that takes to do terrain like that. That was probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours of work. I sort of brought it back a couple of times just to make sure it was all lining up, and honestly you can barely tell where the base plates are, I guess, apart from this bit here, which is obviously unfinished. You can't really tell, so that's really good. We obviously have a bit of rock wall here, and I left this big space here for the landing platform. Tomorrow I won't have much building time, so I'm planning on just doing a couple of little bits here and there, like finishing up a couple bits, and then probably move on to the next day where we'll be able to do a lot more progress. And yeah, let me know what you think so far. It's day 5, guys. Welcome back. We're going to be doing some more progress on Kashyyyk today. It's now the evening of day 5, so I don't have too much time to work on Kashyyyk. I probably have maybe an hour of stuff so I can actually manage to do today. So hopefully we're going to be just sort of finishing up a couple of areas. And as always, I'm going to show you everything we get done. I'm either going to do a time lapse now, or I'll just kind of update you at the end as to what we've managed to do. So starting my to-do list of random odds and ends, and that's to finish off this top section over here on top of the actual entrance to the base. Now I just went ahead and just added in some slopes, just making this sort of rise up a little bit nicer. And then I replaced a load of these sort of light bluish grey pieces just because I've destroyed my castle now, so I had a load more freed up, so I could go ahead and add them into these different sections. You can see for this one I actually removed a few. That's because they were the actual single ones, and now I've replaced them with the double wide ones, so they look a lot better. And now I can turn my attention to a bit of housekeeping, and I'm going to quickly remove everything from the landing pad and give it a good old vacuum, get it nice and clean because it's got very dusty over the last few weeks, and we're going to do the same with the lower terrain section as well. Now once that's done, I can add everything back in there. That's something I've been meaning to do for a while, but let's turn our attention back to that entrance there, and we're going to add another layer of bricks, another layer of slopes, and then some masonry bricks on top. And if you remember in last week's episode, I noticed that this pipe was a bit too long to fit this piece on the end here, and I was saying I was going to have to cut it. Well, I don't actually. I found a perfect piece for this. I don't know how I managed to do this, but it was the exact right length. So now all you can see is I've just got to swap that piece in the corner there with this piece with the stud in it so that that can fit into the wall. So let's go ahead and do that now, and we have that finished, and I think that's looking pretty cool. So day 6 time, and I've actually already started the progress. It's been about an hour I've been working on the mock already, so I can't wait to show you the progress that I've already been making, and then after that we'll hit some time lapses and do some more progress. So this may look like I've actually made negative progress as there's pieces sort of scattered about. Basically what I did was I ripped apart this section here, made a little hole, and I wanted to add a little light into here. You won't be able to pick up much of this because my room is very bright right now. You kind of see it flashing on the other side. When this is fully covered, it will actually illuminate everything. So basically what I did was I put these sort of like groove pieces, put this onto some tiles, and then it kind of uses the groove pieces to slide in and out of the normal Lego light brick. I didn't want to have any sort of LED lights and stuff in here because obviously this is actually 2 base plates, so I wanted something that could go across the whole thing. So basically now what I need to do is build this back up and add something that I can basically push up on this top level. I also did end up tiling off the bottom of this cave as well, so I've got this hole right here and it goes down into the spider's lair, and this top bit will all be covered off. So I wanted to have some sort of light in there so you could actually see what was going to be going on in there. So yeah, with that being said, I think it's time we sort of fix this, get this back to sort of looking good, and then potentially start to work on some more things over here to do with the shuttle today. Speaking of which, before I do that, actually quickly, I want to say this is kind of big. I'm tempted to sort of have some speeders in here instead. Either way, we're going to go ahead and put a landing platform in here. If I do it with snot, and I can rip it up anytime I want really easily, and then replace the markings with some like speeder bike bays or something like that if that's something I would rather do. Also, it's not like he's lacking somewhere to land. We have this giant landing pad over here, so yeah, not really sure whether I need a landing pad there, but we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments. So here I just tried my best to layer everything up in the center whilst also making room for the switch to still be able to move. Now this is something I've never ever done before, so it was kind of fun to work on. I tried to keep everything underneath the switch nice and bright. You wouldn't see any colors when it moves back and forwards, but yeah, you'll see in a bit how I managed to do this. But then I went ahead and just tiled off the rest of the area, and I'm really glad I ripped this up and did this. I think this is going to add a lot to that cave. So that was a good 30 minutes or so to finish that up, but I'm so happy with it. This is worked better than I could have possibly imagined. For some reason it sticks at the end there, which is honestly perfect because it means I don't have to hold it to turn it on. I could not have designed that better. Honestly, I probably would have covered up maybe those white pieces under there, but otherwise when it's actually off, you can't see anything, which is so good. Genuinely wouldn't even notice it was there. So if we look at a quick before and after shot of this, you can really see how much I've done this episode. So yeah, hopefully I'll have time to finish off this section here, this episode. But first, I think my attention needs to be turned to the landing pad. Before I do though, one thing I haven't mentioned is that of course this area here has all got foliage and stuff on it, so loads of little plants. I've started adding some different coloured bushes. Obviously in the future episodes, all of this section here will be covered in that. I just haven't got around to that, and I want to do it all in one go. So first thing I like to do when I'm laying out any kind kind of snot platform or anything like that is to get a prototype in there and work out how big I want to go. So basically I went 32 studs this way, basically having 2 studs worth of tiles around the outside, and then this will sit flush with the tiles, basically having a border so that the snot platform isn't just right on the edge and won't just slide off. So I worked out if I wanted to have a complete square, I'd have to come 32 studs this way, of course, and that would come slightly over the top of this pit right here. It will kind of look like the spider is burrowed under the landing platform a little bit. But yeah, let's get some more progress done and I'll cut back in a bit. The first thing I had to do was remove all of those pieces that I'd already laid down, and then I start to build up the rock work and stuff like that as it loops onto the top of the landing platform and everything. I think this is going to turn out really, really nicely. Then after that, I decided to go ahead and add in some tiles all around the outside to make this border sit flush with the snot platform. And then after that, I had to add in a few small tiles around the outside to fill in a few gaps. I have spent so many hours on Kashyyyk today, guys, and I have something cool to show you to wrap up day 6. We did some really cool stuff. We finished off the entire spider's lair, as well as working on a few bits more of terrain and working on integrating that platform into the terrain. This is going to be really cool, so I'll take you over to the mock now and we'll have a quick look. So now you can see we have a nice bit of terrain working all the way from back there, all the way up to the front now, apart from this little spot here, which we will finish once we've worked out what I want to go there. But yeah, we have the spider's lair completely finished. I've added a skeleton, sort of Imperial officer in there. I don't know how well I'll be able to show that, but yeah, you can see him in there just kind of hanging out. Yeah, I don't know whether I'll actually be building a spider for the spider's lair, but that's something we'll come to in future episodes. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this one. But yeah, you can see a bit of terrain wrapping onto the edge of the platform that we will be finishing tomorrow, hopefully, at least getting a prototype down in my sort of limited amount of building time that I have tomorrow. But you can see we have a bit of terrain lapping onto the edge of the landing platform. That again I will incorporate into the actual platform with little bits of moss and stuff growing on the actual platform itself. But yeah, really happy with that, and definitely happy with the way I managed to integrate these rocks. I think it looks a lot better than it did before. Obviously a bit of a bigger jump than I had before, which is actually really good because it makes sort of like the rocks more, I guess, more natural and stuff like that. If it's a bit steeper, the sort of steeper areas have rocks, the shallow areas don't. You can see basically bits of moss and stuff forming on each bit of the tops of each of the rocks, which is really cool. But yeah, I think that's just about time to go to bed today on day 6, and I'll see you on day 7.
Day 7 it is.
Yes, I know, wrong Yoda. I don't have the actual Yoda statue, so I thought I'd use Baby Yoda. But it's now day number 7, and it's time to finish off our last bit of building. I don't have much time today because I have to edit this video this afternoon, so fingers crossed we can get a little bit done. I want to finish off the landing pad, and then I'll do a full overview of what we've done so far. So to finish up here, we're firstly laying down one layer of plate, so it's one layer thick. Basically, this is to get the snot platform onto the same level as those tiles around the outside. And then basically I'm going ahead and just creating this big slab of grey right here, which is exactly 32 by 32 studs. This will take a second, so sit back and enjoy the final time lapse of the episode as we build up the basic template for the landing platform. So there you can see the landing pad in there, and that is probably going to be it for this week's episode of Building Kashyyyk. I have never spent so long working on a mock in a week. This has been honestly crazy. I don't know whether you guys really understand how much time it takes to build mocks like this. Like, I spent hours and hours, probably 10, 12, 15 more hours than that working on Kashyyyk this week. So I'm really happy with that. Obviously we got this bit built up first. Really good to finally get this built up, and I can start to work on the further sections as well as getting the lights in here. We also gave it a good spring clean, which is always good to see. And then of course we did all of this progress. So if you remember before, this entire base plate was completely clean, so nothing was on this base plate at all. Even this half section here was completely bare bones, so there wasn't even the groundwork done. But yeah, we've managed to do a ton of that stuff, and honestly I'm really loving it. I had such fun building this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this episode. I'm really happy with the spider's lair. I can't believe we managed to get this little sort of contraption going. I think that's going to be really cool. I think the landing pad's going to be good. Obviously tons of stuff we need to do on the landing pad still. Basically what I will be doing is completely taking up this piece and then going in, adding some different yellow lines. Oh, excuse me, Imperial officer, sorry mate. And different sort of markings to mark out where the speeder bike bays or the shuttle bays, stuff like that will be. There'll be a ton of cargo crates, there'll be a ton of details, maybe a couple bits of moss and mud entering into the terrain like I did with the stuff over here. So you can see sort of mud scattering onto it. So that's something I really want to do with this section over here. But you guys suggested it last week, and I'm glad I put it in. I think it looks really good in the grand scheme of things to have a bit of light grey. It kind of is weird having just a giant piece of light grey there, but I think it will turn out really good. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below. Your guys' suggestions and feedback always helps with these giant large scale mocks, and I'm really excited to finish this mock off. Obviously a little bit of terrain work left to do here, and then we can pretty much fly on with that, which is the next thing I want to work on next week. So stay tuned, come back next Saturday to see this giant wall that I'm going to be building at the back here. Hopefully I'm going to get a good start on that at least. Then we can turn our attention over to the doorway and then raise this up, and then we're pretty much done. So I do want to finish this as soon as possible because I want to sort of move house relatively soon. So as soon as I finish it, I'm going to be destroying it all, and I want to get that done before me and my girlfriend move into a house, or I can get this done as soon as possible so then I can move some stuff around and create a new space in this Lego room, because this does take up a lot of space and my desk is currently over there, which is not the best place to have a desk. So yeah, with that being said guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Building Kashyyyk. That's the end for today, but if you guys want to see these episodes early, make sure to hit that join button down below and find out a bit more about my membership program. It really goes a long way to supporting the channel to the next level, and I really appreciate all the guys who are in my membership program. You guys are awesome, so thank you very much. But thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.